When the United States pulled out of Afghanistan in 2021, many dismissed the event as devoid of heroism. But beneath the surface of that grim withdrawal lay stories of extraordinary valor. The air evacuation of August 2021 was a symphony of controlled chaos, orchestrated by men and women who were resolute in their mission. Amidst the turmoil, they stood unwavering, dedicated to saving lives, whether it was those requiring urgent medical care or trusted allies desperate to escape. This was a war that had drained America's spirit, and its ending was marred by bloodshed and disorder. Yet in the midst of that turmoil, courage shone through. A 20-year war. The United States war in Afghanistan was born out of tragedy. On September 11, 2001, the world stood still as Al-Qaeda, an extremist group bankrolled by Osama bin Laden, unleashed terror on American soil. 4 commercial airliners were hijacked, and the ensuing suicide attacks claimed nearly 3,000 lives, striking the heart of New York City at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and, in a failed attempt, a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. In the aftermath, the U.S. government identified Al-Qaeda as the mastermind behind the attacks, discovering that the group had found a refuge under the Taliban, Afghanistan's ruling force at the time. The Taliban, having provided sanctuary to Al-Qaeda, refused to surrender bin Laden for justice. In response, on October 7, 2001, the U.S. launched Operation Enduring Freedom, a military campaign aimed at dismantling the Taliban, crippling Al-Qaeda, and ensuring that such atrocities would never be repeated. What began as a direct strike against terrorism soon evolved into a broader mission. Counterinsurgency campaign aimed at stabilizing Afghanistan, nurturing its nascent democracy, and safeguarding its people from the Taliban's shadow. Over the course of 2 decades, the U.S. worked to build Afghan security forces, foster governance, and spur development. Yet the path was fraught with challenges. Insurgency, corruption, and the elusive quest for stable governance plagued the effort. The war, enduring for more than 20 years, slowly wound down as the U.S. reduced its military footprint. The official withdrawal was marked on August 31, 2021, a culmination of plans initiated by President Donald Trump in February 2020 and brought to completion under President Joe Biden. The end of America's longest war was both a significant and somber moment, closing a chapter that began with so much determination and ended with reflection on the cost of conflict. The end is in sight. Operation Allies Refuge. As the final days of the U.S. military presence in Afghanistan loomed, a monumental effort was set in motion. Operation Allies Refuge. This operation was more than just an evacuation. It was a race against time, a desperate bid to rescue those who had placed their trust in the United States and its allies. The mission was clear: to airlift out Afghan citizens who had worked alongside American forces, those requiring urgent medical attention and others at grave risk as the Taliban swiftly seized control of the country. In August 2021, with the Taliban's grip tightening around Afghan territory, a sense of urgency was palpable. The Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul became the focal point of the evacuation, a last bastion under the protection of U.S. and coalition forces. Thousands of military personnel were deployed to secure the airport, ensuring that it remained a lifeline for those desperate to escape. The evacuation was a complex, multinational effort, blending military flights, civilian charters, and coordination with international partners. It was a mission fraught with challenges. Chaos reigned at the airport as throngs of people surged forward, desperate for a way out. Scenes were heart-wrenching: overcrowding, security threats, and the ever-present ticking clock. But amidst the turmoil, efforts were made to bring order to the chaos. Slowly, the process became more streamlined and the evacuation continued, with military aircraft ferrying people to safety in third-country locations. Countries around the globe, including the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, and Canada, opened their doors to these evacuees, offering them a chance at a new life far from the dangers of their homeland. However, despite the Herculean efforts, not everyone who wished to leave was able to do so. The sheer scale of the operation, coupled with the security situation, posed immense challenges. Operation Allies Refuge was more than a mission. It was a commitment to those who had stood with U.S. and Allied forces during the conflict. The operation involved a coordinated effort among U.S. government agencies, including the Department of State, Department of Defense, and Department of Homeland Security. Their task was to identify eligible individuals, process documentation, conduct security screenings, and arrange transportation. Once evacuated, these individuals were taken to transit centers or military bases in third countries, where they underwent further processing and screening. Medical checks, security vetting, and administrative tasks were all part of the process to ensure that those being resettled met the requirements for entry into their new homes. The operation's goal was to provide a lifeline to those at the highest risk, offering them a chance to start anew in a safe environment. The C-17 Workhorse. The C-17 Globemaster III is a titan of the skies, a massive military transport aircraft designed to meet demands of the United States Air Force and its ally. When the call comes, it answers. Whether it's transporting troops, cargo, or in some of the most critical moments, serving as a lifeline for the wounded. This aircraft, with its cavernous interior and unparalleled versatility, is the backbone of medical evacuation missions, delivering care under the most challenging circumstances. When configured for a medical evacuation, the C-17 becomes a flying hospital. Its vast interior is transformed to accommodate rows of stretchers, each one carrying a life in need of saving. The aircraft is equipped with the latest in medical technology, oxygen supplies, monitors, and an array of life support systems, all designed to stabilize and monitor patients during flight. On board, a dedicated team of doctors, nurses, and medics work tirelessly, providing in-flight care that can mean the difference between life and death. These missions are not for the faint of heart. The C-17 often flies into the heart of danger. Natural disasters, humanitarian crises, and military operations, where every second counts. Its long-range capabilities allow it to reach even the most remote and inaccessible locations, places where no other aircraft can land. The C-17's rugged design, with the ability to land on short runways and unpaved surfaces, makes it an indispensable asset in these high-stakes missions. The C-17's role in medical evacuations is critical. It ensures that those injured or critically ill, often in the most desperate situations, are swiftly transported to safety, where they can receive the medical care they urgently need. For many, the sight of a C-17 on the horizon is a beacon of hope, a promise that help is on the way and that their chances of survival are about to increase. A week of chaos. After the Taliban took control of Kabul on August 15, 2021, Hamid Karzai International Airport became the last lifeline for those desperate to escape Afghanistan. With the American withdrawal looming, the airport became a chaotic crossroads of hope and fear. Thousands of people, each with their own story of desperation, flooded the airport grounds. Some were allies of the U.S., promised safety. Others were simply trying to escape a future under Taliban rule. The throngs of people hoping for a way out created a volatile situation. Tinderbox, waiting for a spark. The American military tasked with securing the airport was stretched thin. Young Marines, many barely out of their teens, were posted at the gates around the clock, scrutinizing passports, checking documents, counting heads, and searching for weapons. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anxiety and uncertainty. Every checkpoint, every security sweep, felt like walking a tightrope between order and chaos. Amidst this turmoil, 2 air evacuation missions stood out, missions that would later be remembered for their bravery and the harrowing circumstances in which they were carried out. First, Reach 651, took place on August 22nd. Second, Moose 98, followed on August 26th. These missions, though only days apart, were as different as night and day. One was a tightly coordinated operation under extreme pressure, the other a descent into pure chaos. Yet both shared a common thread. They were executed with extraordinary courage, earning their crews the Distinguished Flying Cross, DFC, a testament to their valor in the face of overwhelming odds. August 22nd, Reach 651. On August 22, 2021, the crew of Reach 651, a C-17 transport plane, faced one of the most challenging missions of their careers. Just days after the Taliban took control of Kabul, the aircraft was tasked with evacuating hundreds of Afghan citizens from the chaotic scene at Hamid Karzai International Airport. The mission was fraught with danger. Concerns about suicide bombers and hijackings loomed large. Every passenger was meticulously searched before boarding. But even with these precautions, the challenges were far from over. As Reach 651 took to the skies, it became a lifeline for those crammed aboard. Men, women, and children, many of them parentless, packed into the aircraft's cargo hold. The conditions were harsh. Over 450 people were seated shoulder to shoulder on the hard metal floor, with no seats, no air conditioning, and only a single small toilet to serve them all. The aircraft, designed for maximum cargo flexibility rather than human comfort, quickly became an oppressive, sweltering environment. For many, it was their first time on a plane, and the stress and discomfort were palpable. Midway through the flight, the situation took a turn for the worse. One passenger suddenly fell ill, and a potentially dangerous situation arose, putting everyone on high alert. As they neared Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the crew was faced with the task of managing these crises while maintaining order and safety for all on board. Cultural and linguistic barriers only added to the tension. The sole interpreter on board, a woman, struggled to communicate with the refugees, many of whom did not take her seriously. The language gap was a recipe for disaster in such a high-stakes environment, but disaster was something the crew was determined to avoid. Despite the overwhelming odds, the crew of Reach 651 navigated these challenges with remarkable resilience and resourcefulness. Their mission, like so many others during those chaotic days, was a testament to the human spirit's capacity to persevere even in the most difficult of circumstances. Breaking rules to get the job done. The Reach 651 mission was never destined to be a routine operation. Faced with unprecedented circumstances, Senior Airman Kimberly Heiser and Major Drew Dela Cruz found themselves navigating a series of crises that no amount of training could have fully prepared them for. But in the face of adversity, the Air Force ethos of service before self became their guiding principle. As Reach 651 approached Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the situation quickly deteriorated. The sky was clogged with aircraft waiting to land, and the tarmac was jammed with planes already on the ground. The delay meant that Reach 651 was running dangerously low on fuel. While Major Dela Cruz, an experienced pilot and 2012 graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy, grappled with the fuel crisis, a far more urgent situation erupted in the cargo hold below. Among the 450 refugees crammed into the plane's cargo area was a 16-year-old mother who suddenly began convulsing and fell unconscious. Crowded conditions made it nearly impossible to reach her, let alone provide medical assistance. But Senior Airman Heiser, the only female member of the crew, knew she had to act. In a bold move that broke with protocol, Major Dela Cruz granted her permission to bring the young woman into the cockpit area, where there was space to try and stabilize her. As Heiser climbed over rows of refugees to reach the girl, the tension in the cargo hold escalated. The cultural and linguistic barriers only added to the growing unrest. As Heiser and other airmen carried the young woman away, some male passengers became visibly agitated. They sent shockwaves through the already tense atmosphere. Heiser later reflected on the situation, noting, "I think it would have gone a lot differently. One of the men were forced to administer aid." The crisis in the cargo hold soon reached a boiling point. Two Afghan men, driven by the desperation of the situation, aggressively forced their way to the front of the cargo compartment, attempting to gain entry into the flight deck. One of the Air Force loadmasters quickly intervened, pulling one man away, while an Air Force Phoenix Raven, a highly trained security force member, stopped the other using non-lethal force. The crew's restraint in this volatile situation was nothing short of extraordinary. As Heiser later said, the decision to not use lethal force to protect the cockpit demonstrated an extraordinary restraint by the aircrew, as they were briefed to use all means necessary to prevent Afghans from gaining entry to the flight deck. This action protected the lives of the aircrew, safety of the aircraft, and the lives of all 450 passengers floor-loaded on the aircraft. Inside the cockpit, tensions were equally high. One of the pilots, First Lieutenant Ryan Corvin, barricaded the door, while another aircrew member stood ready with a service pistol in case of a breach. Meanwhile, Heiser remained focused on stabilizing the young mother, ignoring the chaos unfolding just below. The situation growing increasingly dire, Major Dela Cruz declared a medical emergency and prepared for an emergency landing. Even then, the challenges were far from over. The airfield was so crowded that air traffic control issued multiple unsafe taxiing instructions before the crew finally found a safe route for medics to board and remove the young woman for treatment. Heiser never learned the fate of the young mother, a regret that lingers with her to this day. But as the plane finally came to a stop and water was distributed to the parched and exhausted refugees, the crew knew they had done everything in their power to get the job done, no matter the cost. Reach 651 Crew Receiving DFC for actions on 8/22/2021. On August 22, 2021, the crew of Reach 651 faced a series of crises that tested their resolve, skill, and humanity. Their actions during that harrowing mission did not go unnoticed. For their extraordinary courage, quick thinking, and unwavering commitment to their duty, each member of the crew was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, DFC. The crew, led by Major Drew P. Dela Cruz, demonstrated remarkable poise under pressure. Alongside him were Majors Alexander A. Archiacono and First Ryan S. Corvin, who played pivotal roles in navigating the aircraft through unprecedented challenges. Staff Sergeants Brandon S. Jensen and E. Quante L. Mason, Senior Airman Kimberly S. Heiser, and Matthew S. Williams, and Airman First Class Jeremy Ida each contributed to the mission's success with their bravery and dedication. These airmen exemplified the highest standards of the United States Air Force. Their collective efforts ensured the safety of their passengers under the most trying circumstances. The Distinguished Flying Cross was a fitting recognition of their extraordinary achievement in aerial flight, a testament to their heroism and professionalism on that fateful day. August 25th, bombing at Kabul Airport. On August 25, 2021, a suicide bomber struck at Abbey Gate, one of the critical entry points to Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul. The devastating attack came as a chaotic backdrop to the ongoing evacuation efforts, with crowds of desperate Afghans and foreign nationals attempting to flee the country. As the bomber detonated his explosive belt near a canal where U.S. forces were meticulously checking the documentation of evacuees, the scene turned into a nightmare. The explosion was immediately followed by gunfire, forcing the closure of all airport gates. The attack, claimed by the Islamic State's Khorasan province (ISKP), was a blow not only to the evacuation efforts, but also to the fragile security cooperation between the Taliban and U.S. forces. The Taliban, who had been engaged in their own battle against ISK, were working alongside U.S. troops to maintain order at the airport. The bombing left a horrifying toll. At least 182 people were killed, including 169 Afghan civilians and 13 U.S. service members, were supporting the evacuation. Among the dead were also 2 British dual nationals and the child of a British national. The 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives included 11 Marines, a Navy corpsman, and an Army soldier. Their sacrifice was a stark reminder of the extreme dangers faced during the evacuation operation. In recognition of their bravery and ultimate sacrifice, they were posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in November 2021. Representative Lisa McClain, RMICSH, introduced the bipartisan legislation to honor these fallen troops, just hours after the final American military personnel left Afghanistan on August 31st. The American service members went above and beyond the call of duty to protect citizens of the United States and our allies, to ensure they are brought to safety in an extremely dangerous situation as the Taliban regained control over Afghanistan. Bill read, "The American service members exemplified extreme bravery and valor against armed enemy combatants. Their heroism deserves great honor." The Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest expressions of national appreciation, has been awarded only 173 times since its inception during the American Revolution. The 11 Marines honored were Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31 of Salt Lake City, Utah. Sergeant Johanny Rosario Pichardo, 25 of Lawrence, Massachusetts. Sergeant Nicole L. Gee, 23 of Sacramento, California. CP Hunter Lopez, 22 of Indio, California. CPL Dagan W. Page, 23 of Omaha, Nebraska. CPL Humberto A. Sanchez, 22 of Logansport, Indiana. Lance CPL David L. Espinoza, 20 of Rio Bravo, Texas. Lance CPL Jared M. Schmitz, 20 of St. Charles, Missouri. Lance CPL Riley J. McCollum, 20 of Jackson, Wyoming. Lance CPL Dylan R. Marola, 20 of Rancho Cucamonga, California. Lance CPL R. Kareem M. Nikui, 20 of Norco, California. Also killed were Navy Corpsman Maxton W. Soviak, 22 of Berlin Heights, Ohio, and Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Noss, 23. Corrigan, Tennessee. In the aftermath of the bombing, the U.S. launched a drone strike on August 29th, targeting what was believed to be the vehicle carrying the bomber. Tragically, the intelligence was flawed, resulting in the death of an innocent aid worker instead. Almost 2 years later, the Taliban claimed to have captured and killed the individual responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing, bringing a small sense of closure to a dark chapter in the Kabul evacuation. August 26, Moose 98. August 26, 2021, marked a critical moment in the Kabul evacuation operation. Moose 98, a C-17 flight, stepping into the fray during a period of intense chaos. As the evacuation effort saw over 120,000 people airlifted from Kabul in August, logistical challenges were immense. The C-17s, including Moose 98, faced the added complication of not being able to refuel at Kabul airport, necessitating air refueling to continue their vital missions. Moose 98 was tasked with a crucial medevac mission on the same day as the devastating suicide bombing at Abbey Gate, which resulted in the deaths of 13 U.S. service members and injuries to many others. The timing of Moose 98's flight was pivotal, as it was the first to enter the airport following the bombing. The aircraft was carrying a Critical Care Air Transport Team, CAT, dedicated to evacuating the most severely wounded individuals. This included U.S. service members, Afghan civilians, and children who were in urgent need of medical care. The CC-8 team faced a relentless influx of critically injured patients, adding to the urgency of their mission. Moose 98's flight became a significant part of the largest aeromedical evacuation airlift from Kabul, tasked with transporting patients from the coalition hospital. Each patient arrived safely at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany, thanks to the swift and effective response of the Moose 98 crew. Major Caitlin Dunaho, a flight nurse on Moose 98, reflected on the mission, stating, "Although I was told what to expect, it was very shocking to see very young Marines, sailors, and soldiers walk on the plane with traumatic injuries. But my crew responded fast and effectively. Bravery and selflessness they all displayed is indescribable." Moose 98's mission not only highlighted the intense challenges faced by those involved in the evacuation, but also underscored the remarkable courage and dedication of the medical and flight crews in the face of overwhelming adversity. Just a National Guard nurse doing her job. While doctors and pilots often receive the spotlight, the contributions of military nurses and medics are equally extraordinary, though sometimes overshadowed. This was particularly true for Major Katie Lunning, an Air National Guard nurse who made history as only the second registered nurse ever to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross, DFC. Lunning is also the first Air National Guard nurse to earn this prestigious award, a testament to her exceptional service during a crucial moment in the Kabul evacuation. Deployed for a 6-month tour at a medical unit in Al Udeid, Qatar, beginning in July 2021, Major Lunning was soon thrust into the spotlight as part of Moose 98. This C-17 flight played a pivotal role in the chaotic evacuation efforts following a devastating suicide bombing at Abbey Gate on August 26, 2021. The attack, which killed 13 U.S. RAT service members and injured many others, marked the start of one of the most intense and challenging missions of the evacuation. Lunning's journey into nursing began with the Minnesota Army National Guard, where she first served as a combat medic, before transitioning to nursing through the Minnesota Air National Guard. After earning her BSN from Bethel University and working in the ICU at the VA healthcare system, she joined the 133rd Airlift Wing. Her experience included frequent, high-pressure medical evacuation missions, navigating the dangerous conditions of Kabul's airfield and its surrounding areas. The mission of Moose 98 was particularly grueling. As the first team to arrive after the bombing, Lunning and her colleagues faced an overwhelming number of severely injured individuals. Despite the chaos, they worked tirelessly to evacuate 22 patients, including 6 critical care cases within less than 15 hours. The team's dedication ensured that every patient arrived safely at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany for further care. Major Lunning's reflections on the mission highlight her profound commitment and resilience. "We were pulling them out as they were getting injured," she recalled. "We just had to get them out of there. A lot of medical events occurred on the airplane, but we ended up being able to safely deliver everybody to Landstuhl, Germany, for further medical care." After the mission, Lunning returned to her role as an ICU nurse manager at Central Iowa VA. Her bravery and dedication have earned her the Military Times 2023 Airman of the Year accolade and the admiration of her community, including combat medics, RNs, ICU nurses, VA employees, Air National Guard members, and many others. Her story exemplifies the extraordinary impact of individual service members and the recognition of their achievements within the broader team effort. Moose 98 crew receiving the DFC for actions on August 25, 2021. Let Call Raul Armontiaghi. Let Call William A. Street, Maj. Catlin E. Donahoe, Maj. Katie B. Lunning, Major Pete N. Trailer, Major Dominic A. Vitale, Captain Cody M. Apfel, Captain Jed E. Dillman, Captain David L. Stuppy, Captain Spencer D. Yakos, Master Snant Matthew A. Newman, Tech St. Matthew D. Kiefer, Tech St. Michael A. Rauchi, Staff Strain, Ida Liz Alyssa, Staff St. Catherine Rosa Orlana, Courtney Smith, Senior Airman Mario Hernandez, Senior Airman Denise A. Laban, Senior Airman Alexis C. Sanchez. These crews earned the DFC. The Distinguished Flying Cross, DFC, stands as the nation's 4th highest award for heroism, established on July 2, 1926. This prestigious medal is awarded to individuals who, after April 6, 1917, distinguished themselves through acts of heroism or extraordinary achievement while participating in aerial flight. The roster of DFC recipients includes a distinguished array of astronauts, Air Force, Army, Marine, and Navy generals, as well as notable figures who later excelled in other fields, such as acting, business, and politics. The Moose 98 and Reach 651 crews are among the most recent recipients of this esteemed honor, recognized for their extraordinary achievement in aerial flight during the chaotic evacuation of Afghanistan and Kabul airport. The gravity of their missions, conducted under immense stress and uncertainty, exemplifies the highest levels of courage and dedication. While only those who were directly involved in the evacuation can fully grasp the complexities and challenges faced, the exceptional service and success of these air crews are universally acknowledged and celebrated. Their bravery and unwavering commitment to their duties underscore the profound impact of their contributions, earning them a place among the most revered heroes in aviation history.